You're listening to Hawk Talk with former Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
Play fake, going to roll right, dumps it off into the right flat to Michael Bumpus, who bounces off of one tackler, gets inside the 40, down to the 35-yard line.
Powered by Seahawks.com.
Matt pump fakes, looking to the goal line. He throws it into the end zone. Touchdown Seahawks! It's Michael Bumpus with a diving catch in the end zone. A 10-yard touchdown reception for Bumpus, and the kid out of Washington State has found himself a place on this team.
Now, here's your host, Nasser Kyobe.
Welcome into another edition of Hawk Talk. Michael Bumpus, Nasser Kyobe here with you. The Seahawks flying high 3-0. Michael Bumpus 3-0. Feeling good, feeling good.
Yes, sir. 3-0. Hey, before we start, y'all, I'm congested a bit, okay? So my voice sounds a little different. I got my tea right here next to me.
Doing it right.
And I'm about to have a Jordan flu game on you, so let's go.
That's because you work so hard, man. You out there doing Pac-12. You out there doing Seahawks pregame, Bumpin' Stacy's show, talking Cougs.
You know, I'm just, I got kids. They're expensive.
They are expensive. I haven't found that out yet, but I'm going to. I'm learning that.
You got one?
Yeah, but it's cheaper now.
Yeah.
It's cheaper now.
It's cheaper now.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Anyway, Seahawks going back to take on the Detroit Lions. That's what's on tap.
What's on tap?
Bump, these aren't your dad's Lions.
Nah.
If that makes any sense.
Hey, my dad is a Lions fan, too.
Is he
so
really?
That's
funny.
That connected.
That is funny. Well, and no disrespect to Big Ray Roberts either.
Yeah,
because obviously he blocked for one of the best running backs to ever do it in Barry Sanders. They had some good years there. But these Detroit Lions are different, right, man? Dan Campbell has done a great job taking the Lions essentially out of the basement, right? In just 3 short years, went from 3-13-1 to 9-8 to 12-5, and honestly should have been in the Super Bowl last year. They should have beat the 49ers, in my humble opinion.
I agree.
That's the game that we watch. Either way, this team is here, and they're on the map. So far, they started this year. They are 2-1, second place in the AFC North with wins over the Rams, lost to the Buccaneers, and beat the Arizona Cardinals last Sunday. Bump, talking about that game, Jared Goff, boy, he came out firing.
Yeah, he was ready to go.
14? First 14?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
First 14 before they had incompletion. They jump out to a 20-7 lead in the second quarter, and I held on for a 7-point victory. The Lions caught a huge break in their final possession of the first half when Goff appeared to throw a pick six, but officials ruled the play had been whistled dead just before the snap of the 2-minute warning. You lucky son of a gun.
Yeah, man. We were watching that because we came home from the postgame show and watched it on SportsCenter. I said, oh, no, you can't do that to them. I'd be hot as a defensive coordinator. Either way, though, the Lions take advantage driving down the field with scoring a hook and ladder play, shades of Chris Peterson, Boise State. Anytime I see that executed bump, that's all I can think about.
What is it, 2003? I think it was 03.
No, I think it's a little later. I think it's about 06.
06, okay.
Because homie proposed to the wife right after that at the end of the game.
Yep.
Blank on the running back's name. It'll come back to me. Anyway, perfectly executed play. Then in the second half, the Lions would be held scoreless, but the Cardinals would only get 3 points, and the Lions would lock up the road victory. Arizona had multiple chances to cut into Detroit's lead in the third quarter, but couldn't convert on critical plays. Murray throws a pick. Cardinals were stopped twice on downs. So tough day for them, but, Jared Goff, he had an okay day. 18-23, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Montgomery led all rushers with 105 yards on 23 carries and 1 touchdown. And then for the Cardinals, Murray, 21 of 34, 207 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, also rushed for 45 yards. And the rookie Marvin Harrison, 5 receptions, 64 yards, 1 touchdown. So not as good as the week before, but definitely some decent things still happening for the Cardinals because, as we know, they're a decent football team this year, but the Lions took care of business on the road.
Yeah, they did, man. And, Marvin Harrison, you can't always have 4 catches, 130, and 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, You're going to have to hit the brakes a little bit, but he's going to be on his way. Let's look at this head-to-head matchup, man. The Hawks are 3-0, Lions 2-1. When it comes to offenses, the Lions have the 4th-ranked offense, the 4th running attack, and 7th through the air, while 16th when it comes to scoring points, 20.7. For the Hawks offensively, the 8th-ranked offense, 27th on the ground, 3 passing, and tied for 9th when it comes to scoring points. They're putting up 24.3 points per game. Defense, look at here.
Go.
Look at here. The Seahawks are 2nd overall. Yes. I can't tell you what that does for my soul. 2nd overall. 15th against the run, 1st against the pass, 4th when it comes to points allowed. On the other side, the Lions are 10th overall, 4th against the run, 19th against the pass, and 9th overall when it comes to giving up points. One thing the Lions do well, they do a lot of things well, but they possess the football. They
Yes,
hold
they
on to
do.
the rock. They will grind out long drives. They average about 32 minutes per game when it comes to hold on to the rock. And, yeah, man, this is okay, so now it's starting to get a little real when it comes to these stats, right?
Hell yeah. Yep.
All right, we're 3 games in. All right, I said wait 3 to 4, but when I see that number 2 next to that total defense for the Seahawks, I just big us Mike McDonald in the gang and say, I don't care who you played, okay, because that's what people are going to say. Well, they didn't play this. So what? They had to line up and play the football game, and they look good so far.
Well, what I love about this is it's exactly what we were promised. If you're a Seahawks fan, all you heard about was Mike McDonald, how smart he was, and he has delivered on every single thing. When you come out number 2 defense overall, number 1 against the pass, I just love what we're seeing from a scheme standpoint, how they're executing, how guys are flying around to the football. So you love to see it, but that is why they play the game. So we'll definitely see how those numbers look going into next week. But before we do that, we got to know the history.
Know your history.
And there's been a lot of recent history with these Detroit Lions. Seahawks lead the all-time series 13-5, and what we're dubbing it as the Ray Roberts Bowl. Shout out to Big Ray.
Big Ray.
So 1-0, including the postseason. The Seahawks have dominated as of late, though, winning the last 6 matchups, and the Hawks have also won the last 3 games in Detroit, including the last 2 games. And Bump, when I think about this matchup, obviously the last 2 years, they've been shootouts. They've been barn burners. I don't think that's going to be it this year. I think it's going to be a lot more defensive-minded. But anyway, last year, Seahawks win an overtime thrill at Ford Field. And like I said, the last 2 matchups offensively, points were put up. In those 2 games, both teams combined for 161 points, which is a lot. Last year's matchup, back-and-forth contest, Seahawks taking a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter after a pick 6 by Trey Brown. That lead would go away with the Lions scoring 10 fourth-quarter points and kicking the game-tying field goal at the end of regulation. In overtime, Geno Smith, though, does what Geno does, led the Seahawks on a game-winning drive, 9 plays, 75 yards, 6-yard touchdown pass to Tyler Lockett. Also one of the greatest screen grabs if you've been on Seahawks social media this week in Detroit. We kind of showed back what happened last year, and you see our girl Jen Mueller getting some ups. Let's go, baby.
She up there.
Seahawks won that game.
Pure joy. That's what life is about. That screenshot right there, that's life.
Love it, Jen. Geno finished the game 32 of 41, 328 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 9 receivers caught passes. Tyler Lockett, 2 touchdowns. Kanan also added 2 touchdowns on the ground. For the Lions, Goff had a solid day, 28-35, over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns.
You just called that a solid day. That's a good day.
It's a solid day, you're right. But at the end, he had the pick 6. That could have been a difference. No, Goff's a baller. I know that. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 102 receiving yards. David Montgomery, 67 on the ground. And right now, like I said, given how the Seahawks are playing right now, I do not think it'll be a shootout. But if you don't come correct, it could be because they can put up points.
Yeah, we know the Lions, like you said, it ain't the Lions my dad grew up watching. These are some different dudes. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's not a shootout. I hope it's a bit more controlled. But as long as you get the win, who cares? All right, let's get what's the word in the West?
Where my soldiers at? West side! Where my soldiers at? West side! And the Seahawks are the NFC West champs again.
What's the word in the West on Hawk Talk?
We look at the division. Everybody 1-2. Except for your boys, the Seattle Seahawks, 3-0 at the top of the division. They head into Week 4 all by themselves, man. They got a 2-game lead on the division, and it's about to get real, man. You're not reaching like the meat and potatoes of the schedule, but this is the first like true test that you're gonna get. So let's see how they do. But let's focus on what happened last week. The 49ers and the Rams got after it. 49ers and the Rams, they played a really good game this past Sunday. At the end of the day, if you are a Seahawks fan, there was not going to be a bad result, right? Either team could lose, and you're good to go. The Rams came into the game 0-2, missing their best 2 offensive weapons. You got Cooper Kupp, you got Puka Nacua, and they also just got beat by 31 points last week to the Arizona Cardinals. How were these guys going to respond? And they did respond. It seemed it was going to be a runaway. The 49ers jumped out to a 14-0 lead in the first quarter, but the Rams would respond with a 16-play, 87-yard drive, ending with a 15-yard touchdown to Kyron Williams, making the score 14-7 at halftime. They said, "We not giving up."
Nope.
Both teams would trade touchdowns in the third quarter, and the 49ers will kick a field goal early in the fourth to regain a 10-point lead, 24-10. That's when the Rams said, "We're done with this madness. It's time to take over." They would score on 3 straight drives while stopping the 49ers on their last 3. The Rams outscored the San Francisco 49ers 20-3 in the final 20 minutes of the game. The Rams set up the game-winning field goal with a 38-yard punt return from Xavier Smith and a pass interference call against Kyobe Parkinson. What up, Kyobe? We see you, baby. Then the Rams would force the 49ers to use all their timeouts, kicking the game-winning field goal with 2 seconds remaining. The Rams also won their second straight against the 49ers. Man, that's what's up. And that was after losing 9 of the past 10. That's crazy. Matthew Stafford, 16-25 for 221 yards and 1 touchdown. Tutu Atwell, 4 receptions for 93 yards. And Kyron Williams had 89 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. For the 49ers, Brock Purdy had a big day, 22 of 30, 292, and 3 touchdowns. Juan Jennings had a career-high 11 receptions for 175, and all 3 49ers touchdowns. You know what's crazy about the 49ers? Where Brandon at, man? Brandon. You ain't making plays, man. Hey, that's what hurts me. Is I go to bat for these receivers. For him, for CeeDee Lamb, for Jamar. Jamar showed up last week. Yeah. But then you go out and you look like you should have been practicing. Gosh dang it,
there's
Brandon.
that coaching you coming out. Coach
Should have been
Bump.
practicing. Run your drills. Get with the team.
Well, he was out there, and that game was crazy, man. It was obviously happening during the Seahawks game, so we're keeping a close eye on it, man. But it's really huge. Granted, it's early in the year. The Seahawks have to play the 49ers twice, have to play the Rams twice still. But to have a 2-game lead this early,
yeah, buddy.
Coach McDonald talks about stacking wins. That's exactly what the Seahawks are doing. We hope that'll continue on Sunday when they welcome in, or actually when we go to Detroit, take on these Lions. Let's get into the matchups. Man up.
Hey, who mans is this? Who mans is this? Man up, man up, brother. Man up, brother.
Man up on Hawk Talk.
Starting with the quarterbacks like we typically do, Jared Goff taking on this Seahawks defense. Jared Goff has had an interesting career, and it's definitely ending pretty well so far for him. Enters his 4th season in Detroit, which is crazy, and now has a Super Bowl-type expectations for the first time in Detroit. Goff coming off the best season of his career since he went to the Super Bowl with the Rams in 2018. And Goff led an explosive offense in 2023 and almost got his coordinator a head coaching job. The Lions were 3rd in the NFL in total yards, averaging 394. Second best passing offense, averaging 258 a game. And they're also 5th in points per game at 27.1. Last year, like I said, he had a 67% completion percentage, 4,575 yards, 30 touchdowns, 12 picks. And those were career highs in completions and completion percentage. So far this year, Goff isn't necessarily lighting the world on fire. He's 70 for 106, so 66% completion percentage, 723 yards, 3 touchdowns, but 4 interceptions, and could have had 5. Last week, Goff was 18 of 23, 199, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick against the Cardinals. So overall, though, we know the Lions have the 4th-ranked offense in the NFL, averaging 399 yards a game, and the 7th-ranked pass offense. But he's found a home in Detroit, man.
Yeah, he's there. He got like 2 homes there now.
Oh, and it just feels like the city's embraced him, man. We talked about this a couple podcasts ago, or even Matthew Stafford, who was there for way longer, was getting booed, and now everyone's chanting Goff. Like, the city is embracing him. Maybe
that's messed up. Because they didn't give Matthew Stafford a lot to work with. Goff got everything.
Yeah.
Got a run game, a tight end, a coach who loves him. It's beautiful over there.
Time heals all wounds. I get it. If you're a Detroit fan, I guess you're saying, hey, you left us. You didn't have to chase in a ring. He got his ring, so happy for him there. Either way, time heals all wounds. I'm sure he'll be in their version of Ring of Honor and all that, and he'll be all Gucci. I think he has to, right?
Be, yeah.
I mean,
it has to be.
What quarterback even is?
Charlie Batch.
Charlie Batch. I love Charlie Batch.
Yeah,
he's like back then. Anyway, back on track. What I'm trying to say though is that Goff has a home in Detroit, and he's been balling out, and I think it's good for him there, but he's going to be without a big weapon this week. Starting center Frank Ragnow is going to be out because of partial torn pec. And initially, Campbell was like, he's going to try to play through it. I said, if that man plays through it, he's the toughest dude I've ever seen. But, if you're going to do that, then I think we'd have a field day defensively. But long story short, Goff is a baller. He's found it in Detroit, and he's definitely not the Goff that we used to hear about in L.A. where it was like, oh, it's just Sean McVay, this and that.
Right.
Goff is a good football player, and he's definitely the toughest test the Seahawks have had all season, and it's not close.
Yeah, Jared Goff, man. I remember a couple years ago, I was comparing Geno and Goff. Like, they were kind of like the same type of quarterback, and both have gotten better and better every single year. So, big ups to Jared Goff, man. I'm glad you're doing well, but I hope you don't on Monday. Let's talk about our quarterback, Geno Smith, against this Lions defense. He's had a great start, Geno Smith, to the start of the 2024 season. Through 3 weeks, he ranks 3rd in passing yards, 3rd in completions, 3rd in completion percentage, first in completions, 9th in QBR, and 13th in QB rating. This is a fantastic start for Geno. The only negative thing about Geno this year is the interceptions, right? He has 3 on the season, and they're suspect.
Every one of them.
They're all suspect.
You can argue are not even close to his fault.
You can say, oh, you guys work for the Seahawks. Listen, we keep it 100 here, okay?
Yeah.
They're all suspect. Just watch the film. They'll let you know. But on the season, he's 77 of 103 for 787 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 janky interceptions, like we just mentioned. The Lions defense ranks 10th in total defense, 19th against the pass. And adding insult to injury, the Lions defense will be without some key players. You got veteran end Marcus Davenport is going to be out for the season with an elbow injury. Linebacker Derek Barnes is out indefinitely with a knee injury. Both starters on defense, man. It's listen, this NFL, guys are banged up. The Hawks ain't healthy, Lions ain't healthy. Show up with who you got and get it done.
Yeah, there's no excuse, man. It is what it is. Especially, you're a football player. You've known this. After the first day of camp,
Nobody healthy.
you're not healthy again.
Nah.
Whether it's a conditioning test, lifting, you're
You know
running
who's
2
healthy?
days. Oof.
You know, there's someone who's healthy.
Who is that?
Myers. I bet his body feels good.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right on that. He takes care of himself.
does.
I'm sure Dixon's doing okay too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let's keep going through these matchups. Running backs, man. The Lions have a 2-headed monster at running back. David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs against the Seahawks front 7. Montgomery and Gibbs led the Lions to the 5th best rushing attack in the NFL at 135 yards per game last season. Montgomery had his best year of his career, went over 1,000 yards for the second time, and set a career high with 13 touchdowns. Last year, 1,115 yards, 13 touchdowns in just 14 games. Then you had Gibbs, man. He was the first-round pick at Alabama. Had a lot of people questioning why they would take a running back in the first round. I think it was 12th overall. And he kind of shut the haters up. He had 182 carries, 945 yards, 10 touchdowns, 52 receptions for 316 yards, and 1 touchdown last year. So far this season, this dynamic duo has not skipped a beat. Lions 4th in the NFL in rushing, averaging 163 yards per game. Montgomery on the year, 51 carries, 231 yards, 3 touchdowns. Gibbs, 40 carries, 207 yards, 1 touchdown, and 11 receptions for 76 and another ton. The one area you could say the Seahawks have struggled a little bit, really only during that Patriots game, was in the run defense. They gave up 185 yards to the Patriots, but rebounded really well last week against the Dolphins, allowing just 65 yards. Through 3 games, the Hawks are allowing 116 yards on the game, which is 15th in the NFL. If the Seahawks can make them one-dimensional, that's where they win this football game.
Yeah, buddy.
Definitely.
That 1-2 combo is vicious, and you have to respect it. It's crazy we're saying, make Jared Goff throw the football because we know who he has on the outside. Let's talk about him. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, and Sam Lavenport. Or Laporta. Why Lavenport? Why was I thinking Lavenport? Sam Laporta. Put some respect on that man's name, one of the best tight ends in the game. Amon-Ra St. Brown was one of the underrated receivers in the NFL, but he did his thing last season, and he got paid for it. He's been featured on the Netflix show Receiver, which I've watched. My kids watched. My daughter actually watched it and got into it.
Let's go.
That's what's up. He made it to a second consecutive Pro Bowl and was voted first-team All-Pro in 2023. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 119 receptions, 1,500 yards, 10 touchdowns. Goodness gracious. He's among the elite in the NFL, man, when it comes to receiver. And he's a smaller guy, so big ups to those under 6-footers. In 2 games played versus Seahawks, he has 14 receptions, 213 yards, and 1 touchdown. Hasn't skipped a beat this year. 21 receptions, 207 yards, 1 touchdown. Alongside of him, you had Jamison Williams. Williams looking to have a much better impact year 3. He played in just 18 games in his first 2 years with 395 reception yards and 3 touchdowns. So far this year, he's already reached half that number with 209 receiving yards on 11 receptions and 1 touchdown. He's averaging 19 yards per catch. Lastly, not Lavenport, it's Sam Laporta,
Yes.
okay, out of Iowa. Iowa just put out them dang tight ends.
Tight
don't
end
they?
stand up at Iowa.
Goodness gracious. Laporta made a huge splash his rookie season. He made the NFL All-Rookie team, of course. Last year, 86 receptions, 889 yards, 10 touchdowns. His 86 receptions were 4th in the NFL amongst tight ends. His brother from Iowa was probably above him. We're talking George Kittle, right? I would assume George Kittle had more receptions than him.
I think so.
Yeah.
Kittle, Fant, they have so many dudes. So
Safe
many
to say.
dudes.
Dang, Fant too. Goodness gracious. The 3 games in 2024, he has 8 receptions for 94 yards. In the win over the Cardinals, Laporta suffered a low ankle sprain, which was good news considering that he got carted off. It seemed worse than that.
Yeah, it seemed like it was season ending.
Yeah, I thought it was broken. It was all bad. But it seems like he's going to be okay. Something you got to watch on Monday Night Football, though. So we'll see, man. They got weapons. 2 receivers, a good tight end, top in the game, 2 running backs in the backfield. Goodness gracious, but we got some weapons, too.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think with Laporta, if he's not playing, that'll definitely help things out for the Seahawks defensively because he's just another weapon. He hasn't gone crazy this year, but he has guys, and I say he, Jared Goff has guys that throw the football too.
Yep.
But so does Geno Smith.
Yes, sir.
DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, JSN taking on this Lions secondary. And another week, another dominant performance by a Seahawks receiver. DK last week against Miami, 10 receptions, 129 yards, 1 touchdown, back-to-back 100-yard games. First time he's done that since week 3 and 4 of the 2020 season bump. This is also the 14th career 100-yard game for DK. And he had that 71-yard touchdown. That was the 3rd longest of his career. Now has 7 touchdowns with more than 50 yards. And this is crazy. This stat is the biggest one for me. I couldn't believe this is true. He needs 100 yards Monday to become the first player in franchise history to record 3 consecutive 100-yard games.
What?
I saw that. I go, that's not true.
Larger didn't do that?
That's what I thought. Larger didn't do it. I thought DK's probably right there. I thought Lockett,
Yeah.
Doug Baldwin, Sidney Rice, Darrell Jackson,
Man.
Brian Blades. There's been some really good dudes play receiver here, so that's shocking to me. So hopefully DK can keep that going and break some records on Sunday. On the year, he's got 17 receptions, 262 yards, 2 touchdowns. JSN, his receiver mate, 17 receptions, 175 yards, and T-Lock, 13 receptions, 138. Now, this talented units helped the Seahawks be the 3rd-ranked passing attack in the National Football League at 246 yards per game. But they're taking on a pretty good secondary, Bump.
Yeah, buddy.
When you look at it, and kind of beyond some of the basic stats, but they got Terrion Arnold, who was the first-round pick, number 24th overall, from Alabama. He was a first-team All-American while he's at Alabama, and, all SEC, all those things. So, he can play.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got veteran quarterback, former Super Bowl champion Carlton Davis. He joined them after spending 6 years in Tampa. In 75 starts, he's got 320 tackles, 73 pass defended, 12 TFLs, 9 interceptions, bunch of fumble recoveries. And he's really impressed his head coach. Dan Campbell said really impressed how he's played this year, sticking coverage, physical in the run game. And, those guys have kind of set a tone defensively, Bump, in that secondary a little bit. And there's a couple more stats, Bump. I'm going to let you take these because I'm kind of surprised how well their secondary has played.
Yeah, Detroit has as many interceptions, 3, as passing touchdowns allowed through the first 3 weeks of the season. And opposing quarterbacks have an 83.8 passer rating against the Lions this season, which ranks 10th in the NFL. Not only do the Lions have the 10th best passer rating against this season, but after struggling so much last season defending the deep passing game, Detroit's allowed just 2 completions on passes that travel at least 21 yards in the air through 3 games. Ridiculous. Opponents are 2 for 11 for 49 yards with no touchdowns, 1 interception, and a 7.8 passer rating on those passes. Well, you know what? You ain't seen 14 yet. You ain't seen number 7 do his thing. So that looks good and good for you, Detroit. I'm happy you done well. But you're going to see 14 do his thing.
Oh, no, without question. And so it'll be a fun matchup. Like I said, they have a good secondary. They're playing good football. The same way that people have questioned whether what the Seahawks have done is real is the same way we're questioning what their defense is doing. So it'll be fun to see that. And then you got the one matchup. Of course, we've gone this long, surprisingly, without mentioning his name, and that is Aiden Hutchinson versus everybody.
Everybody.
Everyone.
Man, you got to help. You got to attach a tight end. You got to chip block him. He was the number 2 pick in the 2022 draft out of Michigan. He's a baller. His production is off the charts. His rookie year, he had 52 tackles, 9 TFL, 15 quarterback hits, 9.5 sacks, and 3 interceptions. He followed that up with a solid campaign during his sophomore season, 51 tackles, 14 TFLs, 33 QB hits, 11.5 sacks, 7 passes defended, and 1 interception that earned him his first trip to the Pro Bowl. So far this season, Hutchinson has been active. He's already got 16 tackles, 6.5 sacks, goodness, 11 QB hits, 6 TFLs. You absolutely need to know where 9-7 is at all times.
Yeah, and, the Seahawks, again, Stone Forsythe has been playing some good football. And where Hutchins kind of lines up, he'll move around, but he's primarily going to be rushing from the offensive right, defensive left. So it'll be a big task for this O-line. You talk about chipping, whatever you got to do, tight ends. I love that Pharaoh Brown is back, but he's a guy that is good up front and doing anything you can for 97. And the one thing about Aiden, Bump, I'm sure you've seen this, and I know a lot of people who are watching or listening to this podcast have seen, there's that one viral clip of Aiden back at Michigan. I think they're playing Ohio State.
Yeah,
and he's calling his shot, and he's essentially in the tackle, no, like, you better bring it. And then he proceeds to pancake him immediately.
That's so demoralizing.
Oh, my goodness. That dude just has a motor, dog.
Man, if I were, I couldn't. I'm glad, social media wasn't around back in my day, because I'd have to relive some of those moments with my kids. Like, Dad, why you do you like that? I'm like, hey, I got mine too, though. Don't trip.
Right. Hey,
but, Aiden, man, he's a beast.
Yeah, no, Aiden Hutchinson, 97, is definitely a beast. But for the Seahawks to win, they're needing to block him, and we'll tell you how the other way the Seahawks are going to win, path to victory.
At the 45, waits for the snap. Michael Dixon puts it down. That kick is away, and that kick is good! The Seahawks win! It's good!
It's a path to victory on Hawk Talk.
Honestly, Bum, this is the first real measuring stick type of football game, and for me, I think for the Seahawks, just don't let the moment get too big. It's prime time. You're going to have half the nation watching you, and just keep it simple what you've been doing. And I don't think that's going to be an issue at all. It's just kind of something to say, because I know McDonald's going to have this team ready to go. I have all the confidence in the world in how their preparation is going this week. And really, I'm hoping this year, because I feel like last year, early in the season, when the Seahawks were getting ready to play the Ravens, ironically, Coach McDonald defense, it felt kind of like a measuring stick type game too, right? They were 5-2. Everyone's kind of talking about it, and we all know how that went. Now the mastermind,
I prefer not to talk about it.
Behind that is on the good side now.
Yes,
so
he is.
I'm very confident what these guys are going to do and make life hard for Jared Goff. He's one of the best quarterbacks the Seahawks have played this season. Already thrown 4 interceptions. He's thrown 2 pick sixes each of the last 2 times the Seahawks have played there.
Okay.
So make life tough on him. Take away the football, and think good things are going to happen.
Spoon got one of them. Did Reek get the other one?
No, Reek and Trey.
Reek and Trey. Okay, let's go. All right, another thing you got to do, Amon-Ra St. Brown, man, he's elite. Simple as that. Believe in it, drink the Kool-Aid, whatever. He is good to go. You have to make sure he does not go off. And, of course, you have to stop the run. The Lions have the 4th best rushing attack in the NFL. They got Montgomery. They got Gibbs. They will pack it in, bring in another lineman, 2 tight ends, let you know this is a run formation. We are running the football.
Yes, stop it.
What are you going to do about it? So you got to be able to stop the run and then build off of what you did last week. You had that 185 performance by New England. Last week, you shored some things up. You were good in the red zone. You only allowed 3 points, which is, I don't care who you're playing. That's amazing. Build off of what you did last week.
Yeah, and you allowed those 3 points when they got the ball at the 5-yard line.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this defense is balling out, doing what they got to do. And offensively, Bump, strike early and often. When you play with a lead, it is wild how good and how everything defensively is open to you.
Right.
When you're playing from a lead and you're making them one-dimensional. Coach McDonald wanted to get that done last week. They did. They went up 17-3, and then it was a completely different ball game for the Dolphins. So let's keep that going. And then build off of last week like we continue to talk about. Run the football, grind them down. They're pretty damn good against the run, but they're banged up right now. Davenport's gone. Barnes, their linebacker's out. So take advantage. Get after them and grind them down, Bump.
There we go, man. Grind it. Hey, get DK the ball, please. Y'all don't like completions deep? Don't worry about it. 14 got you. Let's go get it.
Yeah, man. I'm really excited about this matchup in primetime, Monday Night Football. Seahawks going across the country to take on the Detroit Lions. Now, we're going to have you covered. Seahawks pregame show starts at 2 p.m. on your Seattle stations in the Seahawks radio network. Reminder, you can hear this podcast everywhere. We are on YouTube now. Look at our faces. Can't wait to watch it. Watch it on YouTube. Seahawks.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SiriusXM, and more. We're really excited about this matchup. It's going to be fun. The Seahawks have a huge matchup. I think they're going to get it done. We're hopefully talking to you guys next week about a Seahawks victory on Monday Night Football. He's Michael Bumpus. I'm Nasser. This has been Hawk Talk.